For those of you that are enjoying this discussion, this dialogue, they're saying, what are these guys talking about? What's this libertarian stuff? What's this philosophy of liberty? What do we mean, How can I find out more about it? Well, there's a couple of things you can do. First of all, obviously continue to tune into the Libertarian Perspective broadcast. We air Wednesdays at 7 o'clock here on Comcast Community Access Television. They're kind enough to also repeat us at other times through their broadcast calendar, so as you're channel surfing, when you see us on there, pause and listen in and find out what we're doing. The second thing is, obviously, as you can see by these two gentlemen being here, we have active libertarian chapters here locally. The Duval County chapter meets the third Thursday of every month, so that would actually, I guess, be the 20th of this month. Would that be right, Phil?
Please go to
please go to
sure.
I think, but it's the third Thursday of every month. The Golden Corral at Tinseltown area. You guys get started around what, 6:30?
6:30, yes.
Around 6:30. You come have some dinner if you want. You don't have to eat dinner if you don't want to, but you can chew the fat literally with other libertarians, find out what's going on locally. As we've heard from our special guest, Clive Ricketts here today, the St. Johns County Libertarian getting fired back up again and is going to be meeting the first Wednesday of every month.
Correct.
At the King's Head Pub on US 1 going down towards St. Augustine, and going to get started, I believe you said around 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
Around 7 o'clock. So there are great things that you can do locally. Also check out the National Libertarian Party website, which is www.lp.org. And here in Jacksonville, we are www.jaxlp.org, and that information is repeated on the crawler on your screen as well. So we'll be happy to get you some information on the Libertarian Party, what we're doing, and obviously there's great ways for you to meet other local activists and find out what's happening on the current scene. Well, speaking about the local scene and developments that are happening here, there's something a little stinky going on in the air here, and it deals with garbage, but not just the stench that you would normally associate with garbage. The stench that we're talking about deals with how we dispose of this garbage, specifically the contract around the Trail Ridge Landfill. We have a graphic that we're going to go ahead and put up on this. Just a quick timeline for viewers out there. Mayor Peyton and his aides had worked out a secret backroom deal with Waste Management, a very long-term contract to handle waste disposal in Jacksonville. But back in April of 2009, our city council actually had a bit of a backbone and said, hey, we're not going to approve this contract that has not been competitively bid. There are actually provisions in terms of the way that the city is supposed to do business that is supposed to mandate an open and competitive bidding process for city services. Of course, politicians never let that stuff stand in the way, so a backroom deal created with Mayor Peyton and his staff with Waste Management. Well, finally in April 2009, the City Council says, no, we're not going to do this. Well, fast forward to May 2010, and with apparently enough pressure and perhaps some dollars being applied to the appropriate people, the backbone that our City Council grew seemed to simply dissolve. And they voted to agree to a 26-year, $457 million contract with Waste Management that's not been competitively bid. The city had sought legal counsel in terms of back in April of 2009 when they stood up. They basically went to the city council's to the mayor, to the lawyer of the city, and said, do we have a legal basis for pushing back against this? They said yes. Basically, there's been $450,000 in legal fees that was being researched in terms of whether the city council could refuse the deal that was being proposed by the mayor, so that's been wasted. In addition, the new deal that was just agreed to here a couple of weeks ago actually cost taxpayers $37 million more than the original deal that was proposed back in 2009. And so my question is a little bit as government as usual. We do have another slide to go ahead and put up here real quick before I get your guys' comments. These are some notable council members who voted for the no-bid contract. So basically, these individuals acted in a way that was disadvantageous to Jacksonville taxpayers, no matter how they may try to spin it. Very disappointing in terms of Richard Clark and Michael Corrigan and Kevin Hyde switching their 09 vote, where they basically said, no, we're not going to approve this no-bid contract, voting now, approve it now. Johnny Gaffney gets the double treat in terms of both switching his vote from 09 and his committee vote. About a week before the full council vote, a committee voted, and he voted to not support the no-bid contract, and then he changed that. Reginald Brown switched his committee vote, and Ray Holt, Phil, I'm going to ask you to comment on this because you got some paperwork around it. Actually, a lot of documented contributions from both Waste Management and Paul Hardin around him. Kind of a shameful example of local government here, Phil.
Well, it is, and something people should also take into account is the fact that this is one of the only landfill deals ever to have a fuel requirement in it, and the fuel requirement is basically going through gate gasoline. So the mayor's gate gasoline has a 35-year contract. No wonder he's so in favor of it. And right after this got put into place, within weeks, we're raising the garbage fee. Is it really that great of a deal if we have to raise taxes to support it? Of course not. This is just him ensuring his business with taxpayer money. But the good news is that Concerned Taxpayers does still have an ongoing lawsuit. Myself, I am a plaintiff in it. Several other prominent libertarians locally are plaintiffs in it. And it basically is to look into the legality of it. They didn't have to spend the $450,000 in legal fees. If our motion would have went forward, it would have had a judge look at it and say, and interpret it, so you don't have to worry about the lawsuits. Do we bid or do we not? Let the judge decide. We feel the judge would have said, just bid it.
Yeah, and we do actually have another overhead to put up here just in terms of the next steps around the Trail Ridge, and I just referenced that lawsuit by our friends in the Concerned Taxpayers group, and I put in bold their website down below where you can find the latest information on the status of that. Obviously, pursuing a lawsuit like this does take money, so I encourage people to consider supporting the Concerned Taxpayers of Duval County, and as you can see, the web address there is www.jackstaxpayers.org. Well, believe it or not, guys, we're actually getting close. We just got a couple of minutes left, but we do have another important topic to cover, and unfortunately it's in our regularly occurring segment that we call the Government Abuse of the Month, and sadly we're never at a lack for content, for material, if you will, for this segment. We got an overhead we're going to put up here. Government Abuse of the Month for this month involves the City Council and Internet cafes, and these, for people that aren't familiar with it, these Internet cafes, people go in and purchase time on the Internet, and they also get entered into like a sweepstakes drawing. It's almost kind of like a video poker kind of a thing or whatever. And basically, a lot of retirees, a lot of people who don't have home computers, they use this as a social thing. It's kind of like a bingo or something like that. A lot of these centers in Jacksonville are operated by this group, Veterans of the World, that take money and provide medical care for veterans. These are opposed, of course, by Greyhound operators who stand to lose some business, perhaps, from some of these things.
And are from a different county.
And are from a different county. We'll go ahead and put the last overhead up, if you would, please. And there's an Urban Core Citizens Planning Advisory Committee. That sounds very government-y, doesn't it? Who believe that these contribute to crime, suicide, and bankruptcy. And Clay Yarborough, is disappointing because we agree with him on a lot of his fiscal positions. Doesn't see the relationship between closing these down and the city's budget shortfall. And Reason Magazine even blogged on this. They talked about the financial woes in Jacksonville, but they said, thank God some legislators are still on top of the game despite chronic budget shortfalls in terms of focusing on something like this. Phil, I know that you've had some dealings with this and even testified before the council. Anything you want to share on this topic?
I was disappointed that the council doesn't make the connection. We have a $60 million shortfall. We're raising taxes, and what do? They come out with a bill that would shut down businesses that are successful and contributing money to, all these different charities, when they always say we need to raise taxes to support the charities. I'm sorry, until you legislated against it, the free market was taking care of that.
Clive, is this something that the government ought to be involved in terms of mandating what people can do in this arena?
Absolutely not. And unfortunately, the government more and more is taking over areas of our lives where they shouldn't be involved in. This is completely should be left up to the free markets, providing a wonderful benefit to the people of society. It's donating and helping our charities, particularly at a time where we're having budget constraints. There's no reason why the government should step in and basically stifle off that revenue stream, and two, the benefits to the members of our community. And
anybody who looked at today's Times Union saw some of the crowd that showed up at the city council talk about this. So again, a lot of retirees, a lot of people use this as a social venue, and their line is, what am I supposed to do, just stay at home, And again, you have to step back and say, is this really the role of government? Of course, I think we'd agree not. Believe it or not, guys, we're actually at the end of the broadcast. Isn't it funny how time flies when you're having fun? Phil, thank you for coming as always. Clive, a pleasure meeting you. We look forward to having you on some future broadcasts. First Wednesday of every month, King's Head Pub, 7 o'clock, Libertarian Party, St. Johns County. Third Thursday of every month, Golden Corral, 6:30 p.m., Libertarian Party of Duval County. Thank you again for tuning into our broadcast. We hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to seeing you the next time on the Libertarian Perspective.